today is kind of different again. This is Stefanie, my new friend. We have a mutual friend, Chandel, and if anyone knows Chandel, if she says jump, you do it. And so she connected us together and said, you have to interview my friend Stefanie. So I'm excited Stefanie's here. I really don't know a whole lot about Stefanie, so this will be just as fun for me to learn along with you guys. So I don't know where you want to start, so feel free to start wherever you want, but I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
And we were talking earlier, we like the real and the raw, so I think you're going to get a lot of honesty, about grief and death and transitioning and lots of things. So where do you want to go?
I can just do a quick intro. So Stefanie, yes, that's me. When Chandel says jump, you jump. And I wholeheartedly believe that. I am not afraid to talk about grief. And if you go on my Instagram, I'm kind of a little bit not active right now as much. But you can scroll down a little bit and you're going to see the whole story. And you'll see lots of very transparent things that I shared during my experience, which we'll get into. But death and grief is not new to me. I took a break in talking about it. And so when she's like, you have to meet Jamie.
Yeah.
You have to be on this podcast. I'm like, what am I going to talk about? But why it wasn't so surprising is this year I've made a commitment that I'm going to publish my book about the story of my sister this year. Like, not just write it, because it has been written. For the most part, it's publishing it. And so I'm like, well, what a better way to
start.
We're doing this.
Okay,
So,
we're both being brave.
we're both
I'm
being
proud
brave.
of you.
Yeah.
Before you jump into your story, why do you think you didn't talk about it for a little bit?
I think, I personally went through death to me is not just the end of somebody's life. And in August of 24, I went through a death for myself, of where I had to literally so much just shut down and needed to pivot in some things. And I really had to go do a lot of, it's crazy to say, like,
soul
more
searching a little bit.
Yeah,
again?
but I mean, my whole last 20 years have been soul searching, but it was like literally remove all of the noise outside of me and get clear of truly like myself and the soul whispers of myself. Because I was talking about this. I had a grief podcast. I actually had one of my posts for my sister went viral. 6.2 million people got to see a taste of her story. And I remember waking up and like seeing just messages and messages and messages. And I still am friends with some of the people that reached out to me from that.
That's cool.
And at that time, it was this coping mechanism of like, if I can help other people with their pain, then I don't actually have to look at mine.
You might have just called me out.
Not intentionally.
It's so much easier interviewing you guys. One day I'll be vulnerable enough and I'll start sharing mine. But until then, I'm going to use your guys' bravery. So sorry.
So it was interesting because for the first, a year or 2 years after my sister passed away, I was very vocal about it. And then I had to just follow. It wasn't even follow. It just was everything shut down. I had a business that shut down. And it was time to focus on myself and my family. And that's the calling that I got. And so it kind of brought me into that shell. And I was like, I'll write my book. I didn't.
So it wasn't anything like, I feel like people hate listening to my story or those doubts or anything. That's good. Because a lot of my friends that are grieving, they get like scared or they're like, I feel annoying that people are sick of hearing this. And I felt that same way. Everything I talk about now revolves around these moments that change your life. And how do you not talk about it? And so I'm glad that wasn't something that was your...
I found like people they want to talk about it. The ones that have been in the club, right? The ones that are in the club.
Crappy club.
Yeah. Let's all get together, talk, share stories. Yes. And at the beginning, I thought I could be that person. Again, part of it was so I didn't have to really like be with my own. But also like I did feel like, oh, am I going to be defined by this thing? But I can't not be defined by my sister's death. I can't, because my sister's death literally changed. I died with her. Mm-hmm. It changed how I viewed life. It changed And she wasn't the first close person that I've lost, but it changed everything. So I'm like, if I'm so bored talking, like, it's who I am.
Yeah.
It's because of this experience that I am who I am.
Totally.
And so, but I can see where it's like, oh my gosh, there's...
So any advice for someone out there that feels like they can't talk about it or they shouldn't talk about it anymore, that people are sick of it or embarrassed of it?
I say find your people, because
Yeah.
you don't stop talking about it. Like 100% don't stop talking about it, but find the people that will listen.
Yeah.
And if you follow me on Instagram, and I know you're like obviously creating this space for this, you could send me every story. I started putting in my calendars of people that I connected with through this whole experience of when their person, because that's who most of the people reach out, their person passed away, so that I could send a message, at least just being like, hey,
that's so thoughtful.
I know that this is a big day for you. Even as the years go on, it starts to soften maybe, because there's people that are willing to listen. It's don't stop.
Yeah.
Because I also feel the more you talk about it, you get clear of like really where the pain is, what the pain is, and where the healing is too.
True. Well, and I do feel like the hardest part is your circles changing. And so if you can allow your circles to change and find your people that will listen and show up, it's a beautiful place once you get there. Well, keep going.
Yes, I agree. And you also like, I see death, like I said, is not just the ending of a person's life. And if you look at that, like your life goes through these cyclical things where if your circles change, sometimes you know, there's that somebody's in your life for a reason, season, lifetime, you know?
Yes.
And I mean, how stagnant that would be if we just had the same for our whole adult life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I lost people during this time. Is it because of her? Probably not.
But it was just time for a new chapter of things. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into your sister. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
So it's crazy. We're coming up on 4 years, and it literally, I remember the details like it was yesterday. And that was actually one of my hesitancies. I'm like, why is my story so potent if it was so 4 years ago? But that's how grief lives within us. Like I feel like grief is our capacity to love. I see grief as not a negative thing, but actually them still being with us.
I actually think grief is a beautiful level of love that you can never learn, or you can't learn it in any other way. Like everyone's like, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. And like you get grief and there's a whole nother level of love that you just have never experienced. And once you actually embrace grief for what it can teach you, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you. That was rude of me.
No, it wasn't. I love it because that's how I feel. 100%. So, 2022. Okay, May. Okay, let me actually backtrack a little bit. So December, end of 23, I started taking a somatics class. This is really important.
December of 23.
23.
So
you're...
you're...
21.
21,
sorry,
okay.
Prior to my sister. So December 21, I was working with this holistic therapist that does somatics, getting into the body. I'm not new to spiritual teachings. I'm not new to, all of those things, but I realized a lot of my stuff was in the, like, hey, let's just go meditate on it and it's going to be up there. Didn't realize how pivotal and how important that part was. So that was December 21. Worked with that guy for the whole rest of the year, but was taking a course with him where it was literally like, getting into the body, feeling what somatically how your emotions are, doing titration, doing different things.
That's a world I don't understand. So
it is,
we could spend a whole nother
We could talk so much about that. May, I get laid off from a 15-year career.
Wow.
Unexpected. Like we heard that there was layoffs happening, but I wasn't going to be on the list. Like I'd been there that a long time. I was in a position that they could, at least if they close that position down, move it to somebody else. It was just a complete shock. And it's kind of cool to like be able to see the timing of it all, because I don't think that there are any accidents. So May, and then middle of June, I get a call. My sister was in California, and I get a call from her best friend that, hey, did you know that Jen was sick? And I was like, yeah,
Jen's your sister?
Jen's my sister.
Okay.
Yeah. Jen's sick. I think it's worse than she's been letting on. And so we're going to take her to the hospital. So my sister she got her MBA in Scotland previously, like recently, like graduated December of 21. and went back for a wedding. While she was at the wedding, people were getting COVID. And at that time, you still had to have the negative test results to get back in. So she's watching everybody else getting sick. And she's like, oh, maybe I should probably go back home so I'm not stranded out here in case I get this.
Yeah.
Flying back home, picked up or was feeling the symptoms. So she's masking, trying to, protect those around her. Gets home. She tested. She had COVID. So she's recovering from COVID. 37, healthy, no issues. So she's just doing what they, encourage you to do. Just stay home, rest, get your sleep, talk to health, did the telehealth, and they're like, no problem, you just rest, you're going to be fine. What we didn't know at the time is she was also experiencing like severe back pain. And so when my sister finally had her friend come down and visit, she's like, she can't even sit up. And we didn't know any of that. Like it was, just thinking that she's recovering. I, talked to her and she's like, yeah, I just don't feel good, but it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So they ended up rushing her, they called a home health. They came in and instantly suspected bacterial meningitis. And so then they took her to the ER. So when I get that phone call, I'm like, well, what do you think is wrong? Can I talk to her? And she's like, well, there's, not good cell service. Literally in like complete shock. And to me, that was a protection because I have young kids. We were at a baseball game. Like, okay, I can't do anything. I'm here in Utah. So kind of just let the course of it go, how it was. So gets to the hospital. She's checking herself in. And that was probably about like 1, 2 o'clock. I can't remember the exact times. It doesn't matter. But like between 5 to 7, she was unresponsive and where they had to intubate her. My mind, not even cluing like the bacterial meningitis because I did not know what that was. Like you hear about it, it's not a good thing, but I Googled and it's like back pain. I'm like, okay, no big deal. I mean, it's a big deal. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, COVID intubation, she's dead. Like she's gonna die, right?
Because it was the pattern everyone was seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like my sister was the same way. So yeah, anyways, keep going.
So she goes unresponsive, goes into a coma. Again, this is literally happening within hours, and I'm up here in Utah.
I've missed where she's at. Is she in California?
She's in California.
California, okay. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, California. Her friend, thankfully, was there, present with her the whole time they were at the hospital, so she had somebody with her. And
before she was intubated and went into a coma.
Yeah, they were actually on a stretcher out in the hallway trying to find a room for her, and my sister was telling her friend, she's like, I can't feel what's going on. And, and her friend was like, oh, I'm right here. And she's like, but I can't feel you. And, again, I'm like, from my perspective, I'm, checking in, and I now 4 years later, and I actually haven't felt these emotions of being able to put myself outward and see what her friend was going through in that moment. And so grateful that she had somebody there, but also
how hard that was for her friend.
Yeah. And so friend, they ended up, since it was COVID related, they actually asked her, like, they didn't want her into the room until they got more tests back and found out really what was going on.
Your sister in the room or
the friend? Friend's,
okay.
Yeah, sister's friend.
Okay.
So a friend calls me and said, hey, I'm going back to get her glasses. Sounds like, things are getting worse. I don't really have answers. But they just, they're going to kind of do their thing. Then the phone calls started coming from the doctors. I became the contact, the medical emergency contact. And so all of, we're going to have to drill into her head. We're going to have to, all of these things. And I'm like, literally, like, she just
You're
has
2
COVID.
states away.
Yeah, and
trying
she
to
just
make
has
these calls.
COVID.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a big deal. And I remember, like, just all day, like, just being like, literally, my phone's here. So friend and I are communicating, doctors communicating, I'm taking notes of all the medical terms that you know nothing about.
Yeah.
Make it sure that sounds like a great decision. I have no idea.
You're
what
just
that
trusting
means. Yeah.
everything that the doctor tells you is the best thing to do.
Yeah, and she's stable, but ends up in a coma. And I learned through this that they don't really actually use that term often. It's just she's unresponsive. And I'm like, what does that mean? So anyway, she's in a coma. And it's so like, I sound like so callous, but the experience just was, that's what that first day, that's what it felt like for me, of like, okay, she's going to be in a coma. She's going to wake up. We're going to be fine.
Well, I think you just hold on to hope that there's always a happy ending after.
Yeah.
Like it can't be that serious. It's just a cold, and you simplify it. Your body tries to make reason really fast.
And I'm like, she's 37 years old.
Yeah.
She's, young and healthy. And I actually was writing this in part of the book, of realizing how much of that, I wouldn't say lack of care, but not knowing what to actually freak out about was a form of protection for me. Because had I been there and seen the real situation,
Severity of her situation, yeah.
I don't know that I would have been able to operate the way that I did. It became this protection of like, I can still just do mom duties, be here, and then when I eventually went down to California, I was able to like see it and be there with that.
Did she have a husband?
No, she was single.
Or kids? Okay,
Yeah,
nothing like
just
that.
her.
Okay. And where are your parents?
My dad has passed away, and my mom's here.
Before her? Okay. So your mom's not even there either. So it's
Yeah.
like she really just had her friend.
She had her friend, yeah.
And you now stepping in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fast forward, it's really strange, like, I tell you, and for those that have lost people in these like medical like flukes of like, this just happened, right?
Yes.
Medical professionals, they make an oath to save a life. That's what their ultimate goal is, right? And sometimes in my experience in those early stages, it was a lot of medical jargon that's thrown at you. This is what the state of the affairs are. Thankfully, I had a friend that was a nurse, and so I'd be like, here's what they said. Can you please translate it to
Yes.
to regular English, right? But like, to know like the severity of it, and and then to have a brain trauma. So ultimately, she did have multiple strokes in her brainstem, which we believe happened while she was waiting for the room in the ER. And so the coma, yes, her body induced the coma, but it was because her brain,
because of the
had
strokes.
the traumas, the trauma to her brain. And then, so that was on a Thursday when all of this happened. And then Saturday morning, I flew down and was able to be there and see her. And that's where, like, I guess the real story.
Okay, we're just barely hitting the tip of the iceberg here.
The real story begins. But for time, I'll like try and keep it. So I get down there. By then, like, had been talking to the doctors, still not fully understanding, still kind of in that state of shock. I left my computer at the airport.
Oh gosh.
Like all the things that you're just like, I'm not there. Like a walking zombie.
Yeah.
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 But I get down there and go see her in the hospital, and her friend called me, and I'm so grateful she did this. When I was at the airport, she's like, I'm here at the hospital, and I think you need to be prepared before you get down here to see what state she's in. So we FaceTimed, and so grateful, like, to have the preparation, the flight, to be able to be there and be like, okay, I know what I'm going to see.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't have been prepared and I'm having a friend like walking into it without that preparation, right? Wires all over her head. She's got breathing. Half of her head had to be shaved because of where they had to go and release the pressure. And then literally unresponsive, completely in a coma, no signs of any movement or anything. And they're running tests. That's what they told us. We're running tests to find out what happened. I'm like, how do you
not know? I know.
How do you not know? But I still like remember walking in, and I was like, okay, sis, we're gonna get through this. And one of the first things what I said to her when we were alone was, you know more than these doctors. I'm getting full chills, I know.
I love it.
You know more than these doctors. You know more than me. You know more than any of these people. And you get to decide here. And it wasn't me telling her that. It was an acknowledgement that, like, this is beyond any of us here. Including, like, the body that was laying in the bed. Like, I just saw it. I'm like, here she is just resting until wherever she's at.
Makes a choice.
And her creator and spirit and God, like, decides what's the best. And that's, like, the crux of my story with her. By making that acknowledgement, it allowed she was in her coma for 5 weeks of each point in the healing and then the ultimate passing of her made it bearable because she was making the choice. And I feel it and I believe it. And I think that's part of my story that was really hard for me to tell in the beginning, because how do you admit that somebody you love chose something else?
Yeah.
And I believe she gifted us 5 weeks of time. She did things to like, okay, I'm going to try. But ultimately, like, and I even told him, like, you lead the care, you make the decision for, like, make it so we are not making a decision. Make it so that when we do have to make a decision, we know without a doubt that this is the right thing to do. And that we don't have to hold on to the guilt or should we have waited a little bit longer?
Yes.
You know,
those decisions are impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're lining up with so many similarities of my sister's passing. This is just crazy. Okay.
Bravery.
But it's hard. I truly feel like my sister had a choice, and I feel like you can feel that while you're sitting in the hospital bed or watching them while you're in it changes. And I remember my sister lived in Minnesota. This isn't about me. Why am I talking about me? We flew to Minnesota and she was all in. You could tell she was fighting. She wanted to stay. I left to go home and things changed. And it was almost like she made a choice. I 100% believe they have a choice. And I'm sure we would make that same choice if we saw what they get to do now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it would be hard. Us sitting here being like, oh, how dare you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But keep going.
And that's what I saw. So the early stages, like, we weren't seeing any movement. And the doctors, they were like, okay, she's going to be here. You know, she has the breathing. Everything is working for her. So she's not dying, right? So we're just going to allow her time to have her recover. She's young. She's a unicorn.
Was her brain responding?
Her brain was responding.
That's huge.
Yeah, her brain was responding. And it, you know, when we finally started getting to the real answers, like, hey, tell me the real thing. They're like, what, you know, we're going to see if, like, we're waiting to see how her body rebounds. And then also the effects of the stroke. So with it being in the brain stem, that's the central nervous, like the everything.
Just controls everything.
Control,
the control
center. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. The control center. And so it's like, we're going to find out what the damage is to the control center. And that was like, hearing that, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And they're like, what would your sister accept as a quality of life? And I was like, nothing short of traveling the world. Like, that's who she was. She was a single traveler, loved it. Yeah, independent. And so they're like, okay, that's good to know. And then we so I guess that kind of plays into in a little bit. So just remember that, put a pin in it. So we're seeing her in the coma where she's not responding at all for a few days, actually. And there was nights that I would go in there. They had limited visitation, like how many people could be in there, which was such a blessing, because when you were in there with her, it was just the time with her. Like, I got so much alone time. Remember, I lost my job, so it actually worked out fantastic.
That you had all this freedom.
Yep. Got to be there. And just being there, like, I remember the quiet of the nights, because she was in neuro ICU, which she had a dedicated nurse, like, it's constant care. But the nights were just quieter. And I could feel, go back to what you were saying about your sister, when she was there present and when she was out exploring.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, take me with you on your explorations. Like, let's go, you know. And then there was times I'm like, okay, Encanto had just been released, and we had watched that with my daughter multiple times when my sister was staying with us. And so I was like, let's watch Encanto. So we're watching the, you know, things, and I'm just talking to her and stuff. Still, again, like, no responses. And then her friend, she had a friend that lived out in Denmark that she went to MBA, got her MBA with. And she's like, you know, we're talking. She's like, how bad is it? And I was like, it's not good, you know. And her mom was.
Were you still hopeful at this time?
Yes, very. I was like, very hopeful.
I think that's what we don't realize is how hopeful we are, even though we see it right in front of our face. We're so hopeful that a miracle is going to happen and change.
Well, and that's what I kept saying. The doctor says she's a unicorn. I know my sister's a unicorn. I called her Jen the Miraculous. And I was like, if you, like, again, you know more than these doctors, you could come in and literally be the poster board of success and like coming out of this coma and running the first day, like 100% believed it. Mm-hmm. And then I also, through the somatic side of it, I was able to also be feeling in my body the fears, right? And the worry of, I believe 100% and I can hold on to the hope that she's going to pull through. And I'm not going to dismiss the part of me that is scared that tomorrow she may choose out, right? And I think that that's important to like relate it to those listening in, is our bodies hold so much within us. In grief, I feel like people hold on to the grief thinking it's, oh my gosh, I'm so sad because I miss this person, or I'm so sad because of this. And I'm like, what if that grief is there to tell you, and the true like ping that you feel in your body, or that pit, is actually a piece to connect you and to remind you that of the love and the connection you still have with them. Yes. And that at any given moment you could have the pain of the loss and also the memories and the joy, and it can live.
But you have to teach yourself that. It's so hard to step into that side of it. Yeah. So hard.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So how did you get from day 1 to week 5?
Week 5. So I was talking about her friend. This was actually a pivotal point in her choice. So her friend from Denmark talked to me. She's like, I want to come out there. And I was like, well, you probably need to come out soon. Yeah. She's like, okay, I'm going on a plane. And she flew out.
What a good friend.
Oh my gosh. Jen was so loved. And I just, as her human, like going through this, I don't know that she knew that.
Really?
And so friend comes, her friend sent me a video of, like, she had worked with all the people in her MBA cohort, and they sent get well videos. And she sent it to me previously.
Did you just sob?
I couldn't get the freaking thing to open. This is part of the cool part of the story. So she sends this to me beforehand, and I couldn't get the thing to open. She's like, just play it for Jen. I'll be there in a day or whatever, flying across the other side of the country, or other side of the world. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I can't get this video to play. And it was kind of one of those things like, I got other things to deal with. Yeah. Like, not going to worry about this
because you have doctors,
video.
Nurses, like plans, all the details, yes.
Not going to worry about that. So a friend comes in with her computer, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to give you guys your time. I can go get some lunch. So I go downstairs, get some lunch. She's, of course, able to play the video miraculously,
Does she respond?
The next day.
Stop.
She responds. We started seeing movement the next day. Like, little. Like, I'm not saying she sat up and said hello to us, right? But I was like, they like had their moment. And I'm like, I wouldn't have been able to present that video the same way. I don't know these people, right? So she's presenting it, and she's like, oh, so-and-so, like, ha, 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 I can't believe, and they're like just joking, like she's joking with her, I picture Jen like literally wherever she's at, like laughing and all that. But then the next day we started seeing responses, and I have zero doubt that seeing how much that she was loved
kind of pulled her back a little bit.
She was like, hey, you know what? I see that. I know that now. Let me just try and see what we have to work with. And so she, in her body, she's like, okay, I'm going to wiggle my arm. Oh, can't move my legs. Yes. Okay, I'll wink at you guys. You guys want me? And Jen was like her live self was very like, oh my gosh, you guys are idiots. Like that type of thing. And so we're like, hey, wink at us. And she's like,
do I have to?
Wink. Yeah. And we have videos literally like we feel like she was snarling at us and like, but she did it. And she was responding, and she, so then that brought that hope of like, okay, we can see that this is what we've been kind of waiting for, right? And the doctor's like, hey, we'll just keep monitoring it. We never saw movement in her legs. And I honestly, like, what brought us to the 5-week point is we're like, okay, we'll just give her time, see what she, what is there.
Because she was intubated and sedated this whole time.
Yeah.
And along those 5 weeks, did they try to take down the sedation and see how she would respond?
So, yeah, it was really interesting. Went back home and then came back for a visit. I walked in the night and we did like video calls and obviously talking to the, the staff and the doctors and stuff too. At one time they brought up locked in syndrome, like where, so if somebody that's in a coma, basically it's the point of no return, that their body actually works. Mm-hmm. Their organs are working, but they're not able to, they're literally locked in. And that freaked me out. I was like, okay, we don't want that.
Yeah.
So Jen, don't let us get there, right?
Don't do that.
Don't do that. What was I saying? The 5 weeks up to it. Oh, you were asking. So yeah, fully intubated. So we went back down there and they're like, hey, we have backed down her oxygen and she's actually doing really good. So we're thinking, oh, that's really great news.
Hope. Adding.
Yeah, that's really great news. Yeah. And then the next day I get in and they literally are moving my sister to another facility. Like, it was just the most bizarre. And I think I can talk for hours and hours and hours. But and I was like, but she was just breathing. Why are we moving her? Yeah. Well, we have this beautiful thing in America called insurance that gets to dictate care. Gosh. So that's a whole nother sidebar. Yes. Insurance was deciding they couldn't continue to pay for the care that she was getting at the hospital. So we're going to put her into a long-term care facility. We ended up moving her to long-term care. It was not a great experience from the perspective of like, here we are in this 5-star luxury hotel, and then you go into these older buildings. There's people in multiple stages of rehabilitation, right? It was a shock in itself. But we went into it thinking, okay, she's going to have a place to rest, right? We're getting movements. Yeah. They're telling us that the breathing. I don't think they were very honest about the breathing part. I think I can't go back 4 years later. Hey, you remember my sister that you guys were caring for? Did that actually mean, I feel like that was the trigger where they're like, okay, we need to move her because she's not recovering. But they didn't ever say that. So we ended up moving her to the other facility and then got her situated. And to be honest, I have a picture of her. And when we moved her, that was the most peaceful she looked. Really? And I believe moving her there, she was like, I can finally now rest.
Because she had made a choice.
She'd made that decision. Because we hadn't seen anything beyond the first few days of responses. Mm-hmm. Like, it didn't improve. Like, we weren't getting more movements. We weren't getting bigger movements. It just was kind of stagnant in it. And then I had gone back home and we were preparing to go down for another trip. And then they called in the week 5 and said that we're not getting now the responses from the brain. And they'd been getting that all along.
So we're going to bring in the palliative care team.
Yeah. So then I flew down knowing that that's probably what was going to be happening. I said, I want, second opinions because...
What else do you do? You can't just be like, okay.
I know. Yeah. We're going to just take, everything off. And had the most kindest neurosurgeon come in, do a full body workup, the way he touched her, the way he cared for her. And I got to watch it. And I was like, he's going to do a good job. And then he came back out. He put his arm on my hand and he's like, your sister's going to be okay. Okay, meaning
different. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's like, I'll give you a full report, but here's what I can see. And by then her bladder wasn't working. The lung, everything was like full on work.
Shutting down.
Everything was shutting down. And we had different doctors come in just to confirm it. And it was
her time.
Yeah. So then you go in and sign the paperwork to literally sign your life away. Mm-hmm. And people joke around with that statement. When you sign in a mortgage, when you're doing all these things, and
you never thought you'd be your sister's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was your family supportive?
They were, yeah.
Because that's a heavy burden to carry.
It was. My mom's still living, and I want to be cognizant of her experience in this whole thing. But I became mother in all of it from a family perspective, and my siblings, they had support. Like, we did have family meetings, we talked through everything. I took control, and I'm not going to shy away from that because I feel like this was a calling. I was Jen's emergency contact, and I truly believe, and that's another thing I don't think people talk about a lot. Like, you go and fill out your paperwork. Yep, okay, this person's my emergency contact. This person literally has to make decisions on your behalf. when you're in a situation like that. But then I was like, that's what she wanted me to do.
Yeah, she trusted you enough.
And I'm like, I'm going to take that job very, very, very seriously. Yeah. So family was definitely 100% supportive. I mean, again, going back to that first day of saying, hey, sis, this is your choice. Just make it easy on us. Like, selfishly make this easy on us so that we can know when if we get to that point.
What we need to do.
Yeah. And we even had Nurse Peggy. She's chomping on chips in the room, and she's like, and I was like, oh, we got to make this decision for my sister. And she looks at me and she's like, you're not making any decision. And I was like, she's like, you're not. Look at your sister. And then she told me a whole story about her brother. And I was like, I talked to my sister the whole time. I'm like, you even sent Nurse Peggy to remind me that it's not my choice.
You're just doing what
I'm literally doing what's there. But also Nurse Peggy allowed it. Like, the whole experience, like, I talk so nonchalantly about it, it feels like, because I was so present in every moment of it. It was like, this was my duty. Mm-hmm. This was a calling that this 5-week time, nothing else mattered. Nothing else mattered except for what I was called to do right
Isn't
here.
how amazing how perspective can shift? Because you were mom and soccer mom and whatever you were doing at home.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, everything shifts.
And it made me realize how much we put so much into the things that don't matter.
The extra crap, Yeah,
I'm like, you know.
It's great.
It is.
But it's not the most important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I, like, being so present in it allowed me to process the emotions while I was going through it. So that when we made that decision, it wasn't like, okay, I'm taking my sister off life support. My sister is dying.
Yeah. She's
already died, and she gifted us. Did I realize it all at that time? No, it's taken years to process that. But she gifted us those 5 weeks to be able to allow us to get to the point of accepting
to catch up. Yeah.
Because she saw other things that she's like, I love you guys. It's time to go.
Wow. Okay, so when we were chatting before, you had talked about how you kind of written out a bunch of stuff while you were at the hospital through those 5 weeks. You felt that there was something you were called. I mean, you've already dived into it a little bit, but what's your biggest takeaway from that 5 weeks or what's your book about? I mean, which way do we want to go with this? There's so many ways we can go.
Part 2? No.
I'm happy for part 2. Or we just keep rolling.
I know,
and we split it up into 2.
So the book is called No Words Were Spoken, Yet So Much Was Said. And it was literally the journey of us going through her passing, her transition, with me being in physical form and her not. And there was so many things that I literally don't feel like I was on planet Earth for that 5 weeks. I don't feel that way. And so I'm so grateful I had the awareness to be writing it down. There was just so many little miracles. I had met a friend about a year ago that happened to live 15 minutes from the hospital, who her husband had died through a coma, or long palliative care, that whole thing. I didn't know anybody that's ever dealt with palliative care, right? So day 2, I'm down there, and she's like, I'm coming to coffee, meets up for coffee. And I'm like, literally how this timing, in LA, in Southern California, that
you happen to be 15 minutes
away.
Yeah. There's no coincidence.
Yeah.
For sure.
And she came and we met for coffee, and she said, I'm going to, one piece of advice I'm going to give you is ask your sister for a sign while she's here. Because we all get the signs afterwards.
How do you want me to,
how do you
want me to know you?
Yep. What is our sign? And when friend was up there showing her the videos, I was sitting downstairs, and I was like, okay, we're going to try this out. Sis, send me your sign. And a bird jumps on my table. Well, birds are my dad. They always have been. So my dad passed away in 2014.
I was like, we haven't even gone
to there. We haven't even
gotten
there. And that's why it's so, I think that takeaway part is that you're not going to know what loss is going to rock your world. My dad's loss was hard. He had cancer. It was quick. It was and I'm daddy's girl. My sister's loss, I could not anticipate what that would have been like, And so for those that have the shoulds of this shouldn't feel so hard. Why am I still feeling this way? You can't prepare for
you got to let those go.
That's going to rock you, So a bird pops on. I'm like, hi, Dad. Thank you. Love you. but I'm looking for a sign from my sister, you know? And so I'm just sitting there and literally hummingbird, bzzzt, bzzzt, bzzzt. For those that aren't watching the video, one ear, other ear, right at my face. And I was like, hello. And so I was like, Jen, and like literally just calm and peace just washed over me, that I was like, okay, so yes, birds, hummingbird, like I know. And that night I was walking back to my car, and it was a decent walk back to the garage, and I was like, hummingbird, hummingbird. And so at the time I was doing coaching, and I did human design and gene keys, which is like kind of an astrology for those that don't know it. And animals are linked. There's 3 animals that are linked to like these archetypes, is the easiest way to describe it. And so I was like, hummingbird, that's gotta mean something. And I like look it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, duh. The hummingbird is Jen's in her profile, and her, because I had just done a chart reading with her a couple months before she went in. And I was like, hummingbird is her. It is like her main thing. And I'm like, of course it is. And then I get back to her house, and she had this little courtyard that there was hummingbirds everywhere.
Wow.
And so that's like, my book is about all of those, like, I could choose to see those signs as coincidences.
No.
Or I could choose to see them as, hey, Spirit's working in all of these ways. She's in spirit right now. So why wouldn't she be working in all of these ways? Why couldn't she guide the care? Why, like, one of the doctors she sent was totally a guy that she would hook up with. Like, you know, things like that. Like, they could be, I could just dismiss them. But instead I was so glad. And I've done a lot of work up before this. Like, I was telling you, I had a podcast on transitions. Like, the thought of transitions and death and changes doesn't scare me. And I've done a lot of like healing and my own like personal development up before this. So like journaling was a big deal for me, but it was like the being present, and then the body part, that's a big piece of it, of like being able to allow my body to feel the feels that it's feeling and not dismiss it, but actually like ask it. That's a whole nother, we could do a whole thing on that.
Yeah.
But it's like literally no words were spoken yet so much was said, and the care. And then, you know, after she passed away, realizing like this wasn't an ending. Her dying wasn't like, yes, she's not here physically, but our connection and our bond has grown, is even stronger than it's ever been. And then I'm also human, and the grief and the sadness and the loss. Like I had this realization like 6 months ago, where I've seen things from a worldly view very differently over the past couple years. And the person I wanted to call was Jen, because she was more aware of like political things and history. She'd always make like, Steph, you should know these things. And I realized I couldn't call her. And so, but then I also had this like, if it wasn't for her death, I wouldn't have even, would I have even cared about this? Like, would I be open to see what I'm seeing right now if she hadn't passed away? You know, and so I think that's part of the reason why the book hasn't fully been written yet, because the story that I talked about, like all in the beginning of her in the coma, is a big part of it. But I think the bigger part of it is how it continues, and how we continue to live in spite of the loss, because of the loss.
So this new shade of you, like the
title
of my podcast, is a new Stefanie.
Yeah.
And your sister was the catalyst to this new version of you.
Yeah.
So when you look back at the old Stefanie versus the new Stefanie, what are your thoughts? What do you feel?
So the old Stefanie was very like flat, I think is the best way to say it.
That's a good description. Wow.
Jen had called me a couple weeks before she went into the hospital to tell me she was in just so much pain. And I was driving, I was going to the post office, just running errands. And I was just like, well, the world's going to end anyway. Why would I say that to somebody that's sick? Why? Like, but I wasn't present. I was not even listening to what she was saying. It's just, the world's going to end anyway. And I just didn't have that empathy, even though I said I did. Even though I put on a front.
Well, you hadn't been taught it yet. You hadn't experienced it yet. Yeah. So you only know what you know, right?
Yeah.
And then once you know, and you're like, crap.
Yeah, well, and even just how much of a society we shy away from death conversations. Like, and you guys can all relate to this, that let me know if you need anything.
Yeah.
I don't know what I need right now.
I can't even think straight, let alone know what I need.
I had a friend that I'm like, okay, finally know what I think you could help me with. And it was just, well, I don't have time. Okay, it was a glass of wine. I'm like, let's just go have a glass of wine. She's like, oh, well, I'm going to be running errands. I'm like, okay, when you get back, I can, well, I got some. And I was like, wait a minute. People actually don't mean it.
No.
Anything is a huge ask. Like, anything. So I actually made a post about that got hit because it was in it. I was like, we really just don't know how to.
But people don't know how.
No.
I think a lot of times people are scared because they're going to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. But like doing nothing is sometimes just as bad as doing the wrong thing. So you might as well have good intentions, go into it.
That's why I always tell people now, I'm like, what are you willing to do? Say that. So
yes,
I will
be very specific.
I will bring a meal for you. I will literally on this day drop it off, even if you don't eat it. I don't care. I will do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do anything, because anything means that I would drop everything, or anything means that I would do anything, you know. And that's a loaded. It is. If you actually loaded. Think about it.
Let me know if you need anything. Yeah. And you're like, do you realize what you just offered up to me? Yeah. You can't fulfill that. Yeah. Most people can't.
And I was that way before too. I was like, let me know if you need anything. I'm here. Was I really there? No. Was I really there? So yeah, that's what I would say. The old Stefanie was more flat and also very, it's interesting because I had my first spiritual awakening around 2012, where I just kind of started seeing the world differently, manifestation and all of those things. And then Jen's death was my awakening to being human.
That was 10 years later.
Yep. And that was my awakening to really seeing what true spirituality is, what true connection to spirit is, true connection to God is. I believe that we're all essence of God, and going through this experience with her, I'm still kind of toying with the idea of did we have this soul contract that she was going to go? And I don't know that I'm there yet. Yeah. I think because she died, this is what's happened to me. Could I have gotten there a different way? Probably. Yeah. But I chose to use this as a catalyst. Not like you said, it's a new shade of me. A lot of me died with her. Yeah. The part of me that can just be that flat surface. I physically can't do that anymore because I just see.
You love different. You show up different. You are present in a whole different realm than you ever probably were before. You probably mother your kids differently and go to your job differently or whatever you do every day. Yep. It's like a whole new color is added to your life. Yeah. Don't you feel like that?
Yeah. And I think it also shows you how finite life can be. Yeah. That at any given moment, the only thing that we all share in common is that we were born and we're going to die. Mm-hmm. And we all will go through that. And also none of us actually really know from a mental state what happens after we go. But because of this, I know from this space, from my heart, that death isn't the end. Yeah. That spirit, and I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what she saw. I can only know what I experienced through her. But again, you can dismiss the coincidences, you can miss animals. I love animals and they speak to me still, but love different and all of that. Yeah. Oh.
I love it. So I guess, what are you waiting for on your book? What else are you are you still feel like you're learning? I think grief will be a continual teacher to all of us as we go through it, and we just keep adding that knowledge, right? Yeah. As we experience more things, that you can look back on that moment of your grief, or that, you never know what's really going to shake you, and you constantly look back and you keep adding. Do you feel like you're just still adding?
I feel like
Or is there a piece you haven't learned yet?
No, there always is going to be pieces to learn, I guess.
But sometimes I feel like that there's a piece that you haven't connected yet.
I think part of it for me was really understanding what the no words were spoken yet so much was said meaning. That title came early on.
I love the title.
And it I knew that, but what did that actually mean? Because it was beyond the 5 weeks.
Because you're trying to put words into something that wasn't said. Yeah. So how do you put that in a book when those words were never said, but they're there and they're there, and like you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't put words to that.
Yeah.
So that would be hard.
Yeah, and then it was a lot of, like the logistics side of it was a lot of like dumping. Like I wrote so much of this, and then like things would come in and be like, oh yeah, that's going to be part of the book. So it was just like a lot of chicken scratch. And so over the last couple months, I'm like, okay, I'm going to organize it. And the theme of it is like the going literally into the depths of hell to then come and rise again. Just your typical resurrection story, right? Like we all, like, that's what I felt like I went to with her.
Yeah.
But I didn't stay there, and I could have.
Yeah.
And so the story's like, it's the being present. Because it's been interesting. Like, I'm surprised actually that I spent so much time with her in the hospital, because that's not a lot in my book. It's more of the things that I learned during the time that was in the hospital. So maybe there's more of it that.
Well, don't you remember going home from the hospital exhausted?
Yes.
You're like, I didn't do anything other than sit there. But it's an emotional, physical journey while you watch someone lay there in their hospital bed.
Yeah.
It is so physically exhausting.
And yeah.
But we have to be learning.
Yeah.
And we don't realize it.
Yeah. I remember somebody saying, like, who's taking care of you? And I'm like, oh, I have people that are taking care of me. And they're like, and the nurses would ask that too. They're like, you don't need to stay here. Like, your family needs you at home. Like, she's going to be fine. And I'm like, I can't leave here. Yeah. And they're like, you're fine. And I finally took one of the nurses, like, go home to your kids. She's not going to change overnight. You're not going to miss anything by going home and being with those that love you. And that
it's so hard.
Can build, like, basically put life back into you. But in it, like, that was the only thing. She was the only thing that mattered right then. Yeah.
So, I forgot what question I was going to ask you. I was thinking about something else, because I was thinking about how hard that must have been, knowing you had to come back and shut everything down, because that moment's so hard yet so sacred.
It's very...
Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about... What was the other question I was going to ask you? I was going to ask you, how did you pull yourself... Like, I truly feel like everyone has to make a choice to accept this loss or grief or whatever they're feeling, to learn from it. And once you accept it, you can go down that path of growth and light and happiness again. But you mentioned a little bit that you chose to learn from it.
Yeah.
And I think, so either, or we could talk about both.
Yeah.
Either about how hard that was to make that choice and that goodbye, and then how did you make that choice to allow yourself to move forward? Because you'll never get over it. You'll never get past it. You'll never not forget. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's there. It's just a part of your whole soul now.
Yeah, I think it definitely is a choice, a lot of it. Like, and it's a choosing, like, especially in the immediate time of it, it's choosing every day, sometimes multiple, every second, Yeah. We took her off life support at the end of July, and we didn't have our celebration of life until September. And I think I was still, like, in that numb space of, like, this isn't reality. This didn't happen. And then in December, and that was also, like, I was getting, like, helping people on social media, again, deflecting a little bit. But December came around and it hit me. And that's the anniversary of my dad's death too. Where I was like, you actually haven't really taken the time to fully feel. Like, I was in it, present, documenting it, being there.
Well, you were busy. You were checking boxes. You were making sure she was taken care of. You were doing your sisterly duties.
Yep.
And taking care of your mom probably and your family. You're like, I'm doing great.
Yeah. And then it, like, hit me. I'm like, wow, you actually haven't. And so December shut down completely. And that's when I'm like, I can't be on social media. I got to just feel all the feels. But I think that that's actually a really important part of my journey, and for me, like, for what took me to the shift of, like, okay, now that's the reality of life. Like, she isn't here, but she is here. But she isn't. Like, physically, I can't call her on the phone anymore.
Now it's learning a new relationship with your sister.
Yeah. But then she was there the whole time too. Like, it's, so I think it's a choice for sure. And also it's honoring the emotions that come with it, every one of them, not just the like the typical, you know, the stages of grief and whatever they document. Like I don't come from any like therapy or medical background. It's just lived experience of it. But I allowed myself to feel all of them. And that's when I realized that the grief was, if I am feeling this much, quote, pain, isn't this actually the love that I have for this person?
Yes.
You know, and
So that pain, you allowed it to remind you of the love that you had for your sister, and still do, not how sad you are that she's not here.
Yeah.
And once you change that in your head, it really does allow you to see it differently.
Just find people to talk to. Don't be in your own little corner, because you could literally send me messages of all of your loved ones. And I at one time had a thought of like, how do we have like not a grief cafe or death cafe, I don't know, something where we can just like, those are in the club, like we do want to share stories, or hey, I thought of Jen today, who do I tell? This person's sick of me talking about it, but hey, I want to tell you.
But I know so-and-so will listen. Yeah, I do. That's good advice. Find your friends that will listen and allow you to keep sharing and telling your story, right? Well, thank you, Chandel, for connecting us. I'm glad you're here and sharing your story, and I wish you the best of luck. Now we're expecting the book. So I'll have to come back on when it's published. There's my accountability. You guys all be my accountability buddies. Yes, we're going to make you accountable, and we'll post it in our notes of the show.
Oh my gosh.
Okay?
Okay.
All righty. Thank you, Stefanie.
Thank you.